Okay, so doing a little bit of a different video today. I'm going to be kind of talking about the differences between euphoniums and baritones because they look pretty similar and they are pretty similar, but they are different instruments. So I'm going to be kind of trying to explain the differences. This is going to be kind of tricky for me to explain and kind of maybe weird because I don't have a euphonium or a concert baritone. I don't actually have either of them, so I can't show them to you. I do have some clips of me playing instruments that do not belong to me, so I'll show those now. So that first video you just watched was a concert euphonium. So I was pretty excited. I got to try playing this super nice Eastman compensating euphonium at a local music store. So that's what that clip was from. I was playing the Youth solo from Holst's Second Suite in F. So that was a euphonium, and then now I'll show you a clip of baritone. So that second clip was a concert baritone. That was a pretty old. That clip is almost a year old. I kind of had to dig through some stuff to find it. Um, I wasn't really playing very well in that video, but it's the only clip I have of. It's the only time I've ever even used a concert baritone. So that's what that is, and then now I'll explain the differences, I guess. So the difference between these two instruments is not that one has 3 valves and one has 4 valves. It actually has to do with the bore. So first I'll talk about the valves, and again, maybe I'll make a video specifically about this. Um, Euphoniums typically have 4 valves. Baritones typically have 3 valves. But that is not the difference between them. I have seen euphoniums with 3 valves, and I've seen baritones with 4 valves. So there are both instruments exist in 3 valve versions. Both instruments exist in non-compensating 4 valves, and both instruments exist in compensating 4 valves. So both instruments exist in all three of the tuning variations um, when it comes to valves. So the actual difference between these two instruments is the bore. So euphoniums have a conical bore. I'm going to try not to get this mixed up. Euphoniums have a conical bore. Baritones have a cylindrical bore. And again, it'd be nice if I had like one here I could like show you, but you just need to take my word for it, I guess. So euphoniums have a conical bore. That means the bore is like a cone, so it gets bigger throughout the instrument. So it starts, kind of small at the lead pipe, and then between the lead pipe and the bell, obviously it gets bigger by the time it gets to the bell. And so on a conical board instrument, it gets bigger gradually throughout all the tubing. So it kind of at an even rate, the board gets larger from the lead pipe all the way to the bell. It gradually changes. Um, Baritones, on the other hand, have a cylindrical bore, so the bore is like a cylinder. So it pretty much stays the same for a lot of it. Obviously, it gets bigger. Obviously, the bell is bigger than the lead pipe, but it kind of waits a while to get there. It kind of stays the same through probably like 2/3 of the instrument's tubing, and then the last stretch, it starts to get bigger and then flares out at the bell. So both instruments are the same like length. Like if you were to uncoil them, not counting the valves, they would be 9 feet long. So the like fundamental is the pedal B flat, same as tenor and bass trombone. Um, so they're like they have the same range, I mean, fourth valve, extends range, but we're not talking about that. They have like the same range. They're in the same key. So the difference is actually just the mechanics, and that affects the sound. Um, Euphoniums kind of sound like tubas because they are technically tubas. Tubas are conical in that same way, and so a B flat euphonium is like the same as a B flat tuba, just an octave higher. Baritones are a different thing entirely. They sound kind of similar to trombones. They're not the same. All three instruments have their own unique sounds. There's a euphonium sound, baritone sound, trombone sound. They're all different, but baritones sound similar to tenor trombones because of the cylindrical bore. Because trombones are very cylindrical instruments. A straight tenor trombone is very cylindrical. If you have a trigger, of course, sometimes the bore changes at the valve. Bass trombones, the bore probably should change at the valve. It usually does. But generally, trombones are very cylindrical, and baritones are also pretty cylindrical. They're like more conical than trombones, but they're still like cylindrical. They're not like conical in the way that like euphoniums and tubas are conical. So they sound not the same as trombones, but similar to trombones in a way that the euphoniums do not. Okay, so I'll just summarize now pretty much everything that's important from this video. So pretty much difference ultimately between baritones and euphoniums is just the bore. Euphoniums are conical, baritones are cylindrical. That's ultimately what the difference between the two instruments is. Thanks for watching.